What happened in the previous chapter was a few days after the final exam, it was explained that the Divine Visionary selection exam was suspended due to the theft of the Wand of Beginnings, and only a few people knew about the impending battle against Innocent Zero. After that, Ryo took Mash to a hospital where our protagonist met one of Adam's 3 students, Mistress Meliado. There, Meliado healed Mash using a chainsaw. After treatment, Meliado offered Mash the opportunity to train under her in order to gain extraordinary strength. She explained that in our protagonist's current state, he is no match for Innocent Zero. Because of this, Mash only has 30 days left before Innocent Zero attacks with his children. After those 30 days, at minimum, Mash needs to become stronger than her. However, if he fails, Mash's body will be in a state where he won't be able to live a normal life again. Despite the risks associated with that training, Mash accepted it. For his first test, they played Take the Tail, where Mash was required to get 12 tails from Meliado's student, Ochoa. At first, our protagonist struggled due to the gravity of the place. Ryo explained that at that rate, Mash would lose everything important to him. Doesn't he realize he's always holding back? He should think about what caused him to be like that. Our protagonist recalled the time when he broke Rigro's bone while massaging him. After the incident, Rigro told him it was okay and not to be sad. If properly taught, extraordinary strength also has the power to save people. Mash shouldn't be afraid of his power, but he should never give massages again. Something seemed to awaken in our protagonist and it was visible in his eyes. Upon Meliado's arrival, she saw that Mash had already completed the test in less than a day. She smiled and said she was beginning to see why. Ryo was right to bring Mash to her. She thought that Mash was a real diamond in the rough, while our protagonist was thrilled. In that case, they should proceed to the second stage. What's up, Onii-Chan? Welcome back to our manga recap series about Mashle, Magic and Muscles, a story with a mix of Harry Potter and One Punch Man. So let's start the video. Continuing the exciting story of Mash in a world full of magic, we move on to the second stage of Meliado's training. Meliado wants to put Mash into a terrifying tomb. Because of this, our protagonist asked why. Meliado explained that there is healing magic inside that can remove his pain and fatigue. Mash stared and said that he doesn't seem to want to do that. Meliado, however, told him to go in. Mash was taken aback by this. Meliado repeated that she told him to go in, calling him an idiot. When Mash still didn't go in, Meliado suddenly swung her chainsaw at him. Just as the chainsaw was about to hit, Mash quickly decided to enter. She said it was safe and promised that it would relieve Mash's fatigue from training. But she also mentioned that it would be extremely painful. Meliado then quickly closed the tomb and whatever torturous device began. Ochoa explained that Meliado's magic works on a cellular level. Do you need healing? A physical boost? Meliado's strengthening magic is the best in the world at unlocking your full power. So now that Meliado has taken Mash, he will be performing at his top level in no time. He also teased Mash and asked if he heard all of that or was he too writhing in pain to listen. Because of that, Mash hurt him from inside the tomb. In the next scene, they went to a place. Mash was curious if it was a dungeon while Ochoa was crying because he didn't want to be there. Meliado explained that this was Mash's second trial. She introduced an armored knight. Mash stared at it while Ochoa was terrified. The armor prepared to attack and immediately launched attacks at Mash. Mash bragged and said that this was not a trial, while he deflected arrows. Just as one was about to hit his face, he quickly cut it off. However, he didn't expect to be hit. When it hit, it was revealed that an invisible arrow had hit him. The armor formed again to attack. Meliado then commented that if he was shocked like that, he probably wouldn't last long in the fight. Mash stared at her. Meliado explained that using her magic, she input Mash's cellular data into that armored knight. It was supposedly designed specifically to be above his level. In Mash's current state, she said he wouldn't possibly win against it, and he wouldn't just be facing one of them. That was only training level 1. and there are 99 more to keep him busy up to level 100. In another place, they showed what Lance and Dot were up to. Wahlberg reportedly arranged a special mentor for them because of their display of power growth during the exam. They saw the room Wahlberg was referring to, but they wondered if their mentor was already there. When they opened it, they saw Orter playing darts with a picture of Mash on the dartboard. Orter turned to look at them, and Dot seemed scared while Lance just stared. In the next scene, they also showed what was happening with Finn. He was in room 302, crying. He was sobbing because the end of the world was near. He said he was too young to die. As he was crying, a picture suddenly fell towards him. When he picked it up, he saw a picture of his friends. Finn's tears stopped and he started thinking. He stood up on his bed and ran immediately. He saw to himself that he needed to do something for Mash and the others. He ran towards Wahlberg's office and stared at it. He looked at it for a long time, and in the end, he teared up and thought that he couldn't push himself to enter. Suddenly, someone asked him what he was doing. It turned out to be Caldo. He asked him if he was Rain's brother, to which he agreed. In the next scene, Mash was shown fighting with the armored knights. In Ryo's mind, he said that the directors had equal power to Innocent Zero's forces, so they needed the strength of people with potential like Mash. They were relying on our hero. In the next scene, several giants and two people on a cliff were shown. It turned out to be Epidem and Selwar. Epidem pointed out that they should look at the eyes of those giants. He explained that Innocent Zero's magic had turned them into an army of evil. He said that the view was beautiful. Epidem stated that the giants, halflings, and the Majin and the worst criminals of humanity were under their command. In Selwar's mind, he was impressed and wondered how they gathered such might. Epidem explained that their enemy would get the impression that they were almost equal in strength, but that army was enough to crush them. Innocent Zero said that in the coming time, his long-standing wish would be fulfilled. His army of the strongest creatures was shown. He said he couldn't wait anymore. In the next scene, we return to Dot and Lance. Orter and the two stared at each other, and Dot realized that Orter was the man who bullied Mash, and not just that, it was obvious that he was irritated with them. Orter and Lance kept staring at each other while Dot remained silent. Dot was shocked by the tension in the place. The two were too prideful and it was painful to watch. When the two finally spoke, they both said, "You," at the same time. And after that, they just stared at each other again and the place became quiet again. Dot could no longer hold back his frustration and thought that the two had tried to break the ice, but they only made it more awkward by speaking simultaneously. Because of this, they would just give up. It was too frustrating. Someone needed to fix it, and it looked like it was going to be him. He said he would handle it, right? After that, Dot suddenly shouted, saying that they were jinxing each other and insisting that they were serious about it and not just playing. After that, Orter finally spoke and explained what Wahlberg had informed him about them. Dot couldn't believe that his idea had worked. Orter said that the first thing they would need to do is to feel the agony of death. He quickly cast his magic to surround Dot. Because of this, Dot sobbed, realizing that it didn't work at all. In the next scene, they ended up in a strange place. Dot was puzzled and stared. They asked where they were. Orter explained that the two of them would stay there for a week. They would get 3 200ml bottles of water for sustenance. He said they would break as soon as they were touched even a little, and even putting them aside was too much. Meaning they needed to use their magic to keep them safely floating. When Orter threw them at Dot, he was shocked. He realized they needed to stay awake to protect them, otherwise they would run out of water and die. Orter immediately attacked and one of Dot's bottles broke. It flew between him and Lance, so Lance was confused. Orter said they not only had to keep them safe, but also had to protect them from him. Dot was annoyed and thought Orter was so mean because right after explaining that, he did what he did. Anyways, he said he would not stoop to begging Orter for lessons. But damn, he was not as skilled as the sister complex, so he was sure he would be the first to run out of water. As he was thinking that it would be easier if they worked together, Lance suddenly spoke and called him. Dot should have already known to make sure he doesn't involve him in his stupidity. Because of that, Dot was speechless and realized his plan wouldn't work. While this was happening, we moved to Mash's training. He was still fighting the armored knights, and it turned out he had already defeated 10. Meliado and Ryo were watching him, and Meliado thought that she couldn't believe Mash had defeated 10 in just 4 days. If he was a normal person, it would take him a month. Mash's speed was astonishing. After that, she said they should rest there, and Mash could take any kind of break he wanted. Ryo approached him and asked if he was still okay, and if he was still manly, to which Mash said maybe. If so, he said, as a reward for his hard work, he had bought something for him. He pulled out a picture of himself with his autograph on it. Because of that, Mash was shocked and asked who would want that. When Ryo added that he had brought cream puffs, Mash's expression immediately changed. While this was happening, Ochoa was just staring at them. Ryo noticed this and asked if he wanted to join them. Ochoa immediately jumped over to them and snatched the cream puffs. When Mash lifted Ryo, a picture fell out of his pocket. He picked it up, and when he looked at it, Ryo explained that they were Mrs. Ryo and Ryo Jr., his wife and child. Mash couldn't immediately believe it. Ochoa suddenly asked if they seriously had families, and if they were really there to win. For him, it seemed like they had nothing to bring to the table. Meliado told him that Innocent Zero had become too strong, and the gap between them was too large to fight him. Ryo agreed and said that was true. Currently, he stood at the top of that world, and like him, every person there had people who were important to them. So, because of that, it was his duty to protect each one of them. So even if they were impossibly outmatched, he would not allow himself to lose. After that, Mash seconded it. Then he bragged that they wouldn't lose if he was there, to which Mash again agreed. Mash then asked Ochoa why he started training under Meliado. Ochoa explained that he wanted to become famous as one of Meliado's students, so he could fill his bank through consultations, books, deals, and seminars. Meliado explained that Ochoa had good instincts but a terrible personality. Ochoa said that if there's anything you want in this life, you have to go get it, and that includes cold, hard cash. They shouldn't judge him just because they aren't thinking ahead. Mash and Ryo agreed that it seemed valid. Mash then explained that for him, it would be sad if they couldn't gather to eat snacks like that anymore. At least, that's what he thought. Because of that, Ochoa was left speechless. After that, Mash went back to training. Another armored knight rushed in and clashed with our protagonist. The two rained attacks at each other. While watching, Ochoa wondered what was driving Mash to do all of this. He said it's something a child shouldn't challenge Innocent Zero. He couldn't understand that level of stupidity. Ryo then informed Ochoa that Mash was an orphan. He was full of gratitude for the man who raised him and for his friends. He sensed that when they met. He believed that Mash's lack of magic caused him to be more appreciative of the kindness shown by others, and how rare and valuable that was. Ochoa contemplated this while watching Mash. He thought back to what Mash said earlier and realized something. In the end, Ochoa stated that it was a simple dream. There are only 28 days left before the enemy's onslaught. And with that, this video ends. What do you think? How strong can Mash become after that training? I wonder what happened to Dot and Lance. Write your comments down below. If you want more anime and manga recaps, don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with new videos.